What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Johnny. Back in here with one more reaction video, ladies and gentlemen. And today I got a short one from one of my favorite YouTube channels, Academy of Ideas. If you haven't checked them out, I definitely recommend. Very informational, very knowledgeable. And today we about to drop a little wisdom on you. And if this is your first time pulling up, welcome. Get on in here. As I like to say, we are simply spirits encased in human flesh. That is all. Simply just trying to figure out this thing called life. Not nearly as divided as the mainstream media tries to make it seem every single day. And I think we can all agree that everybody is looking to be great and everybody has a talent and a gift inside of them. So if you like what you hear in this video, please share this thing far and wide.
The impetus that makes you fly is our great human possession. Everybody has it. It is the feeling of being linked with the roots of power. But one soon becomes afraid of this feeling. That is why most people shed their wings and prefer to walk and obey the law. The 20th century psychologist Abraham Maslow was convinced that within us all exists an impulse to achieve greatness and an urge to move toward what he called our highest possibilities. Few among us, however, achieve anything of great worth. While there are various reasons for this, one of them, according to Maslow, is simply that we fear our greatness more than we desire it. We are generally afraid to become that which we can glimpse in our most perfect moments. We enjoy and even thrill to the godlike possibilities we see in ourselves, and yet we simultaneously shiver with weakness, awe, and fear before these very same possibilities. Maslow called this fear of greatness the Jonah complex, in reference to the biblical character Jonah, who attempted to flee from the fate bestowed on him by God. In this video, we'll investigate the psychology behind this fear and examine how we can overcome it. In his book Art and Artist, Otto Rank argued that human beings are driven by two fundamental fears, a fear of death and a fear of life. The fear of death, according to Rank, is not merely a fear of our physical extinction. We also fear a type of psychological death which occurs when we conform so fully with societal norms that we lose our individuality. This fear, according to Rank, motivates us to differentiate ourselves by actualizing the potentials which make us unique. It drives us to exist in the Latin sense of the word, that is, to step out, stand forth, emerge, appear. Standing out too much, however, can stimulate feelings of loneliness and isolation. The more we individuate, the more we lose the comforting protection of the crowd, and it is this fear of standing alone which Rank characterized as the fear of life.
And look here, if you on this channel, you definitely have views that make you stand alone. You definitely don't conform and just go along with whatever society puts out. So shout out to you for rocking with me. But I'm sure we all know a ton of people who have a ton of potential inside of them, but they scared to embrace their greatness. It may be you watching this video that's scared to embrace your greatness. I know there was a point in time in my life that I didn't want to be on camera. I didn't want to talk publicly. I didn't want to do anything but put my head down and stay out the way. But my grandma used to always say, if you don't speak up, how will anybody know you exist? And in a world that tries to define you by your skin color, speak up. Let them know you exist. Tell them your story. Everybody. Black, white, yellow, green, blue, brown, red. Don't go along with the mainstream narrative. Share your story with the world. And you can inspire somebody. You can motivate somebody. Shine your light.
This fear, Rank argued, drives us to reestablish a greater connection with society via conformity and to reject much of what makes us unique. The life of each person alternates between the impulse to individuate, driven by the fear of death, and the impulse to conform, driven by the fear of life. Between these two fear possibilities, he wrote, the individual is thrown back and forth all his life. For most of us, the fear of life predominates over the fear of death. We are more afraid of standing out, of daring to be different, than we are of relinquishing our individuality.
I don't know why that is.
This analysis of Ranks suggests that at its root our fear of greatness is a fear of life, a fear of standing alone and of separating ourselves from the masses. For as Nietzsche so often liked to remark, the concept of greatness entails being able to be different. But a fear of life is not the only thing inhibiting us from actualizing our potential. Colin Wilson, one of the most prolific authors of the 20th century, suggested that an insignificance neurosis permeates modern society, acting as an additional barrier to the cultivation of one's greatness. Wilson observed that much of 20th century thought was dominated by what he called the unheroic hypothesis, which he defined as the sense of defeat or disaster or futility, that seems to underlie so much modern writing. In answering the age-old question, is man more akin to a god or a worm? He thought the modern age instilled in the individual a belief that we are much closer to the worm, thus helping explain the average individual's tendency to accept a life far below their potential.
I was just thinking that in my head. I was saying the problem and the reason so many people conform, I personally think it's because of a lack of a spiritual connection. Whatever religion you want to believe in, when you understand that you're connected with God and there's somebody who's always watching over you, and everything you do in life, you're performing for an audience of one, you feel a little more comfortable in your decisions and standing on your own. Because really, I'm never by myself. God is always with me. But if I'm worldly and I don't have a spiritual connection, then I see the world and I'm trying to make sure all of these people are happy and pleased with me. So I'm conflicted. And that's why I say you have to be in the world, but not of the world. Because you have to be comfortable in yourself. And it's never too late to develop a spiritual connection to understand. You don't have to please all these other people. You was born alone and you're going to die alone. What you do in the middle part is up to you. But you got to make some noise. You got to stand up for what you believe in and stop just going along with what's thrown to you. Like I said, think about babies. Babies are spoon-fed, but they get to a certain age where they're like, nah, I don't want that. You got to do that same stuff with the content and the media that's given to you. Turn off the radio, turn off the mainstream news, turn off ESPN and Fox, and go search for what's important to you. And watch how it benefits your life, your brain.
Abraham Maslow, a friend of Colin Wilson's, came to very similar conclusions. Maslow made a habit of asking his students who among them would write a great novel, or become a great leader or composer, and discovered that, generally, everybody starts giggling, blushing, and squirming until I ask, if not you, then who else? Which of course is the truth. If you deliberately plan to be less than you are capable of being, then I warn you that you'll be deeply unhappy for the rest of your life. You will be evading your own capacities, your own possibilities. Maslow thought the...
And I challenge everybody to think about your life. Plan what you want your future to look like. Get you a journal. Write down your thoughts. And I'm not saying that when you start writing today, you'll come up with an idea. But if you spend your morning writing down your thoughts and your evening writing ideas, just watch what you accomplish. 6 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years. Dedication is freedom. But if you can control your mind, you can control your life.
The anxiety displayed by his students was the result of an inability to fathom the godlike possibilities within for too long, without succumbing to the fear that such arrogance could lead to unhealthy delusions of grandeur. As a result of this fear, people tend to the opposite extreme and view themselves as more analogous to a worm, incapable of achieving anything of significance. Maslow, however, believed that both extremes, seeing oneself as a god or a worm, were equally detrimental. He therefore advised we find the golden mean or middle way. To overcome our fear of greatness, we must learn to move boldly towards our goals, while simultaneously maintaining humility in the awareness that we are all, after all, human, all too human. Or as Maslow explained, for some people this evasion of one's own growth, setting low levels of aspiration, the fear of doing what one is capable of doing, voluntary self-crippling, are in fact defenses against grandiosity, arrogance, sinful pride, hubris. There are people who cannot manage that graceful integration between the humility and the pride, which is absolutely necessary for creative work.
Yes.
To invent or create, you must have the arrogance of creativeness, which so many investigators have noticed. But of course, if you have only the arrogance without the humility, then you are in fact delusional. You must be aware not only of the godlike possibilities within, but also of the existential human limitations. If you can be amused by the worm trying to be God, then in fact you may be able to go on trying and being arrogant without fearing delusions of grandeur. This is a good technique.
Look here. Hey, once again, man, shout out to Academy of Ideas for enlightening me. I'm a totally different individual when I start consuming this content, and I think it's information that the world wants. I don't think we want the low vibrational murder, kill, sex all over TV the mainstream media promotes. It's just information like this isn't promoted. It wasn't that when I was in elementary or middle school and high school. This is not what they was giving me. They was making me, Puff Daddy had vote or die campaign. Kanye said George Bush don't care about black people. I never got to go deeper. And I challenge everybody, man, study. Really get into the world and figure out what's going on. We've been manipulated and history has been changed. And we live in a society that wants you in a state of fear 24/7, 365. Be happy, be happy, be happy. Disconnect from the negativity of the world. You could think a little better. Drink water, take vitamins, stretch, meditate, go outside and do yoga. And then watch what it does to your brain. And watch what kind of ideas come to your head and watch how you start feeling about yourself. Because all change starts within. The inner world affects the outer world. Read The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Dr. Joseph Murphy. That is a really, really, really good book. Read Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. Read Self-Reliance by Ralph Waldo Emerson. And keep reading, keep growing. You could do anything. There are no limits on you outside the limits you set on yourself. So don't allow society to break you down and make you feel like because you come from a certain background or you look a certain way. No. You are perfect. When you popped out your mama the way God created you, you got everything you need to be successful. Like Dolph said, go get the money. Till next time, we out here.